It seems like hailing frequencies are open. Hello, everyone. This is finally, I am back. It is Commander Dom Paris here to talk about this special episode of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 9. So it's the penultimate episode of this season. And we have the Breen returning to us. But not only do we have the Breen returning in this episode, but we have our excellent co-hosts returning for this stream as well. So, first up, Textrack, welcome. How are you doing this week?
Howdy, howdy. I am happy and thrilled to be here as always.
Definitely. And Starfleet Boy, how are you?
I'm good. My main computer terminal is malfunctioned, so I apologize. I'm on the auxiliary unit here, but hopefully it sounds the same and good and everything. And
Sounds
it's nice to
Did
be
it
here.
explode? Did it blow up and shoot rocks at you?
I was trying to load an automation program into it, and I don't know, it didn't work out. No, it did. It did
Sometimes
shoot rocks at me, though.
automation has a hell of a track record of not always working out in
Yeah,
science fiction.
and definitely later on with this new ship class, the Texas class, we'll definitely have to talk to you, Textrack. But starting off, Starfleet Boy, what did you think of this episode, episode 9?
Another excellent episode. I found myself. This one is probably the one that I had the most emotional reaction to so far this season, because I have to admit, like especially in the first watching, and I still felt it upon subsequent watchings, that I was kind of like blaming Mariner as well. I thought she was totally gonna be like, the one who gave the sort of like unreliable information or whatever. And so when the report came out and she was totally innocent and she was so sweet and she said like the best thing ever, I lost it crying, and it just felt so bad. And then I went from those feels to like being mad at Captain Freeman and being mad at all the other shipmates, and like even a little bit mad at her friends, the other lower deckers. So yeah, this is a very poignant episode, to say the least, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. This season's been awesome. I can't even imagine like them not sticking the landing next week, and I'm just so excited about this whole season.
Very nice. Yeah, and Textrack, what did you think? First thoughts of this episode, and I guess if you watched it again, did it benefit from that second time watch of knowing what Mariner did?
Yeah, I think this episode was solid. I've enjoyed season 3 a great deal. In fact, it's probably my favorite season of Lower Decks, which is debatably my favorite of the current Star Trek shows. It runs a tight race with Strange New Worlds. But this episode did not quite live up to some of the ones I've seen in season 3. I think from Reflections with the bad Rutherford taking over the implant.
Yep.
Reflections on all the way up till last week's episode, Crisis Point 2 Paradoxus. I think that's like the best of Lower Decks in my opinion. I know some people, they don't seem to be as in love with season 3 as I am, but I thought both of those were great examples. Going back to DS9 was it somehow lived up to my hopes. Something I've been begging for so long. The Peanut Hamper, extremely divisive episode, the Peanut Hamper episode. But I thought that was brilliant. In fact, I think that might be the best of the season. DS9 is my favorite, but Peanut Hamper is the best, I think. Just in terms of, what it accomplished and how impressive and ambitious it was. So this story didn't measure up to those. I mean, those are all tough acts to follow. However, it's hard to have final judgment just talking about what happens this week, not what happens next week. I really think we're all going to have to wait and see the conclusion and the finale, and then we can kind of judge and see where this falls in the ranking for the season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I very much am in the same boat as you. I did not like this episode as much as other Lower Decks episodes, considering we've gotten very good penultimate episodes before in season 1 and season 2. This was very much an interesting episode because I felt that just its pacing was quite rushed near the end. Like, they revealed the Breen, and then it was a really quick Breen fight, and then there was a Breen ship fight, and like, it was really cool seeing the Breen again. And, you know, we've got it as the title of this stream because we're so excited that they return all the way from, you know, DS9. But I felt kind of disappointed about this, though, like you said, I think it might be worth re-looking and re-evaluating this episode once we get the finale, because I'm sure all this stuff from the automated ships and Admiral Buenamago, that we may need more pieces of the puzzle. But yeah, also I would just like to thank everyone in chat here today, and especially for all the yay Dom from Tim Jerome, and
the people love you, Dom.
Chuck A saying it's always great to see Dom and hear his smooth voice. I thank you very much for that, so thank you. But
Dom, I don't know how you do it, but
yeah.
it's a real treat in my ear holes here. I like to hear you speak.
I do not know how to feel about that statement, so I guess thank you.
You're welcome.
But yes, thank you all for joining us today. Make sure you say in chat what you thought about this episode, what was great about it, what didn't work for you, and all that stuff. But let's talk about the fact that we are going to this planet Brekka, and what was the name of the other planet?
Ornara,
which was seen
Ornara
in the
Brekka.
first season of TNG. Did you expect Lower Decks to come back to this episode, considering Lower Decks' reputation of going to these one-off planets from TOS, TNG, and so on, to go to this particular planet?
Yeah, I think it's a good one for them.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of early TNG kind of gets ignored. I think it's a lot of us have agreed that, yeah, maybe season 1, season 2 of Next Generation, not the best of Star Trek. Although there's some good episodes in there, you know, especially season 2 had Measure of a Man and Q Who that introduced the Borg and whatnot. But yeah, they don't really seem to go back and build on top of some of the things established in that early Next Generation, when they were still trying to figure out how to make, you know, Star Trek on TV without the original series. So Lower Decks is a good vehicle to kind of explore that. And, you know, if nothing else, then some of those goofier concepts, they kind of contribute well to the comedy of Lower Decks. So what I love about that is they didn't go to Ornara and Brekka and, like, played them up as jokes. Or they didn't do like, oh yeah, look, it's this whole society. They were all addicted to drugs. Like, that's so funny. They were like, oh no, like these people actually had like some really hard times they had to endure, but it did work out. And so, you know, it kind of validates Picard's actions in that episode. So it doesn't undercut anything from that. And yeah, I would love to see
Picard's
more
actions in that episode. I mean, they had
It
like
totally
14
does.
years of terror that could have been prevented had they brought in like rehabilitation specialists or listened to like Dr. Crusher's advice and stuff like that. So I don't know, but sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
But that was,
one.
I mean, that's the dilemma that he was in there, was with the prime directive tied his hands on that. So it was
True,
like,
true.
with my hands being tied, what can I do? And that, I mean, what he did, you know, worked out. So I think it would have been disastrous if they showed up and there's like, oh yeah, that Picard guy, what a moron! Look at this big, you know, cluster here. So I think they played that very well. But yeah, I would love to see more of these second contact missions. You know, like going to Beta 3 and seeing Landru taken over again. A lot of these planets that, like, yeah, I never thought we'd see again. Like Lower Decks is the show to revisit them.
But I think very much from the fact that not only is it revisiting these plot points which, you know, were kind of just one-off in Legacy Trek, but like you said with Beta 3 and Landru, Freeman very much being like, Starfleet should come back to these planets and make sure that they're not relapsing, or how are they doing, because we have a responsibility to them because we changed their course, we helped them in this way. We've got to make sure that that continues and doesn't degrade or get worse. So I really
It's
loved that was the focus of this episode in this Operation Swingback. What's it called?
Swing by,
Swing by.
Swing by.
Yeah, Operation Swing
right.
by or
And
Project
I
Swing
think
by.
that's a very
It sounds like
good
that was Carol's
aspect.
idea, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
That was something that there's kind of an arc with Freeman because she made this comment, this observation in season 1 when she tells Mariner Starfleet is good at observing but bad at maintaining. Or maybe it was Mariner who said that to her. I think it was Freeman
I
though.
thought it
But
was Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it feels like Freeman.
So they had that conversation in no small parts, the season 1 finale. And then in the season 2 finale, First Contact, Freeman is about to get a promotion or a transfer to a capital ship, and she's really gung-ho. And by the end of that episode, she says, no, I want to stay on my California-class ship. So here, as we're moving into the season 3 finale, we're kind of seeing the next stage in that arc where she's observed there's this issue with Starfleet. And then she's gone from that to like, I want to get on like a capital ship to do, well, no, maybe I want to stay here on like the California class starship. And then here where she's like, oh, here is a function for the California class starships, how we can use this unimportant second contact stuff that no one seems to care about. It's not glamorous work, but it's actually really important, and here's a way for me to make like a strong case of like why we are vital, to the Federation, and here's our role to play and our contribution to make. So I kind of like that there's a through line there.
And yeah, definitely. And I saw a lot of a lot of people talking about Freeman's actions in this episode, especially not believing Mariner and going to such drastic measures of, okay, well, you're not on my ship anymore. I don't even know if I can consider you to be my daughter anymore. And I hear a lot of people, especially in chat. We have Pies Eternal earlier saying, I hope it's set up because otherwise it's character assassination for such a small arc. And I see that, and that's definitely one way to look at it. But I feel that another way to look at that is Freeman very much falls on this self-image look whenever she's really stressed. And whether there's a lot of things up in the air, and whether it's herself and the people around her that will influence if that will go ahead or not. And we see that she's really stressed about this Project Swingby. So even though it is sort of like a step back for Freeman, I can definitely see it as very human that she fell back on this way to deal with the stress that she was dealing with in this project. Starfleet Boy, what did you think about Freeman's actions in this episode?
Well, yeah, so I've gone back and forth. I've been in the kind of oh man, like that really sucks, like kind of camp to the maybe Freeman was not unjustified necessarily because of Mariner's like past actions, like even things like the fact she comes up to her and there's like a trail of like blueberries on the ground just before this like important event, and Mariner time and time again, and actually like Mariner has been on report this whole season. She's been she's been kind of assigned to ransom, and so there's a lot of like things, but overall I think what you guys were talking about, Freeman's arc kind of puts things in perspective. She does have this issue though, and I love that the characters all have work to do. I mean, she does have this hot-headedness that like she kind of like will kind of be her own worst enemy in certain situations that I think she needs to deal with. But Fathery, you reminded me that like of how much Carol loves Starfleet, and she's actually a really good captain, and she's just like I think the thing is that she was just so disappointed because Mariner's pattern in the past has been that she would be the one to kind of sabotage the situation in one way or another,
right?
So like I can kind of understand it as far as the harshness of saying that about my I don't know if I could think of you as my daughter, and also transferring to frickin' Starbase 80, which truly is the worst Starbase like I've ever, like we only saw a glimpse of it, and I feel like we need to see more. I don't know, maybe we don't, but that being said, I think that it's complex, and they've really grown. I think, yeah, I want to see something. I don't know if it's going to happen next week, or like, I don't know if Mariner's going to have a stint with Petra aboard the Free Spirit for a couple of episodes or whatever, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this kind of work out.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, talking about Starbase 80, it's been... when was it first mentioned? Was it season 2?
Season 2?
It was
it?
season 1, episode
season
5, I think. Terminal Provocations, yeah, with Ensign Fletcher.
That's right.
I think it's when Mariner accidentally pushes Dr. Tiana into her nachos, and Tiana says something like, "If you're gonna goof around like that, go serve on Starbase 80."
Starbase 80, damn. Yeah, and I really liked that they used the is it type 18 shuttle pod or type 15?
Type 15.
15. I knew it was one of them.
Yeah, type 15.
I really liked that it was that. And Starbase 80 very much makes me think of just a starbase in an area of Federation space which doesn't really need that much like looking after. Nothing happens there. So they don't really get the resources to look like all the other starbases. So I can definitely see a Starbase 80 being a thing. So it was just nice to finally see it. But then to hear that Mariner had, like Starfleet Boy said, resigned her commission to go with Petra Aberdeen to become an archaeologist, I thought was actually really nice. But it'll definitely be interesting to see where they take that, and whether it'll just be, okay, for an episode, Mariner's going to do some archaeology and then be like, oh, Starfleet's my true dream, and then just come back. Because I feel like one of the issues, at least I have with Lower Decks, is it very much returns to the status quo very easily, because it's comfortable, and returns to this dynamic instead of changing it. And whether that's me advocating for maybe Mariner should be an archaeologist, or whether it needs to be more than just one episode of reflection of, okay, is this what I want to do? We'll have to see how they do it.
Wouldn't it be cool if they could like break them up for like an entire season? And then think of the moment you would build up to when they're all reunited again.
Yeah,
I think that'd be like really interesting if they could
I think
to borrow
it would work.
to borrow some storytelling structure from the other Star franchise. You kind of like do like the Empire Strikes Back thing, and you split the party. You have like Luke and R2, y'all are gonna go visit Yoda and Dagobah, and then Han, Leia, and 3PO and Chewie, y'all are gonna go to Cloud City, and you kind of eventually get everyone back together. But it'd be fun to see, if we took people off of the Cerritos, maybe spend a season with Mariner doing archaeology, maybe have, I don't know, someone Tindy take some posting somewhere else because it'll help her advance in her career, and it's a big step towards becoming captain or something like that. You kind of did that with Boimler when he went to the Titan, but he came back so quickly.
Well, he part of him came back.
Part of him came back. Was it the original Boimler is the big question. But I guess, talking about Boimler and talking about William Boimler, when I was watching this episode, I very much felt that there was a conspiracy behind the scenes, under the surface of this episode.
It's a little too convenient, like all the things.
You have Admiral Buenamigo, who very much is like, hey, to make sure that this project looks good, I'm going to send you a reporter instead of just a Federation investigator or someone to just
someone
analyze, or just someone from Starfleet to just be like, okay, how is this project going?
Instead of Commodore, like they used to on TOS. It's true.
And then obviously you have
like an observer,
an observer, and then obviously you have the Breen being there, and it's like, oh no, coincidentally there we have an automated ship which we're showing off. Oh my god, reporter, get some good shots of that. Let me give a spiel about how great the Texas
He had it
class
ready to
is.
go. It was
He
like a
had it
PowerPoint
ready.
presentation. Yeah, he had it all ready to go. It's
So
true.
there's definitely a conspiracy there.
Yeah.
But whether it's more malicious or not will have to be seen, because obviously this could just be like Admiral Renamigo has made these automated ships and he wants to kind of like force Starfleet to make more of them. Therefore, okay, I'm going to get a journalist to see it and then it'll be out in the public. All public support of this venture will be high, so Starfleet will have to do it. But it could be even more malicious than that, especially if we link in such things, as you said, in Reflections, with Rutherford's other half, or his former self. We know that past Rutherford was working on a specific engineering project at Starfleet Academy at the behest of some flag officer. Could that have been Admiral Buenamigo trying to skirt around maybe regulations of automated ships in Starfleet? Because surely there has to be some sort of regulations, considering the M5 being so disastrous, Control being so disastrous. Surely there has to be some regulations behind, okay, don't make automated ships. There needs to be some crew. Textstrike, what do you think of maybe Buenamigo being a Badmiral?
Well, you asked me earlier, what did I think after like multiple viewings of this episode? That is one thing that becomes very clear after you've watched this before, is you notice that he is there when they're getting the assignment to go to Ornara, where the California class ship is made to look useless. Oh yeah, we don't need any help. Thanks for coming by, I guess, but it's a big waste of your time. Then it was his idea, when Freeman calls him, was like, oh, this didn't exactly work out how we wanted. What do you want me to do? And he was like, oh, why don't you go check out Brecca, see what's going on over there. So, okay, he made them go here to look worthless. He made them go over here where they get attacked. And then he just happens, to send in the cavalry, send in the Texas class to save the day, and had the reporter there to document all of it. So yeah, if this was like a big audition for the Texas class debut, like he couldn't have manufactured a better presentation. So I think that's very likely. It's just too many coincidences,
It's also sad though to think that, because I feel like they're all friends, right? Doesn't Mariner call him like Uncle Les or something like that? Like,
Uncle Les,
so it's like
in the season premiere.
But
why
it was
else
also
create this character?
Why else bring in this new character?
They could have used Daddy Freeman.
Yeah, it's true. We don't want to. Yeah, it's true. It's
but also, why introduce the character?
We already had an admiral.
Why introduce the character in the premiere episode of season 3? Why bring in this new character who has just randomly? I don't think he really served any purpose in that.
He was like
scene.
very. Yeah.
He was just like, oh, hey, like, Admiral Freeman, how's it going?
It's a little on the nose too, naming him Buenamigo, like good friend. Like I feel like there's like definitely like a lot.
Yeah, and knowing the writers of Lower Decks, that is definitely important.
I agree.
Oh, I called it right, by the way. I said in the season premiere, I said this guy's got to be from Texas because he's got like a statue of the Alamo on his shelf.
Yeah,
and we see more of his office here.
He has a book of which has Texas on it. I've got a picture of it up here. I mean, I don't know a lot of Texas stuff. I guess there's.
What are the different class ships that are named after like states or provinces, or what would it be in the UK? Like a borough? No, I'm not sure.
It would be counties. So
counties, yeah. Like, are there any like ships named after counties? Ship classes named after counties or anything?
You are asking the wrong person, because I do not know British naval ships.
There's definitely California class and now a Texas class, but I don't remember. Louisiana class, I feel like, is another one.
There is is it a New Orleans class or is it the USS
there's
New Orleans?
A New Orleans class.
It's New Orleans class.
So city specific. That's city specific.
There's one of the Wolf 359.
That's one of the Galaxy classes which has like highlighters on the top.
Yeah, it's a kit bash.
Yeah. Yeah, but talking about the Texas class, and obviously we have to go to Text Trek to ask, what do you think of this ship?
It's your moment.
Are you happy with this ship being the Texas class? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I was happy that there was like I always thought that'd be cool if there was like just a USS Texas in Starfleet. So yeah, it's cool to have like a whole ship class. Although like I am concerned that this is going to be like a villain ship, that it will like, I mean, just because science fiction has had a track record, going all the way back to the old days, but even within Star Trek and the original series, Ultimate Computer, like we were just talking about, when you put the powerful ship with all the guns and you give control of that to the artificial intelligence, things don't work out for you. So
yeah, and it's nice that
just kind of
it's nice that they also kind of reference Ultimate Computer from that kind of like M5 symbol lighting, which is shown on the LCARS display of the USS Alito.
Alito, yeah.
Yes.
Have you been to Alito?
Alito, which is an interesting. It's a little town, but like their high school is like really good at football. They're like they like win state all the time. Like they might be like the winningest high school football team in Texas history.
Yep.
I have a question for the audience. Buen Amigo said there's three. Yeah. So what do you think the other cities are gonna be, if we even see them? If you have any guesses,
I'm gonna guess that enough Texans.
I'm gonna guess Austin or Father.
No, Austin. Yeah.
This one. And El Paso. I'm gonna go with El Paso and Austin.
When I first saw the Texas class come in, I actually, for like a split second, thought it was the Inquiry class, which was interesting because it's got that kind of shape to it. But I mean, looking at the ship, it is a very interesting design. Like, it looks to have like 3 deflectors.
Yeah, it definitely looked a little. It's a very Starfleet profile, but just the surface details are kind of unusual.
Definitely.
Without a crew, it can have redundancies and extra components that you couldn't put in a standard ship because of crew spaces. Yeah. So maybe it has
talking of
redundancies
crew
and
spaces.
Like that.
I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, what if there's a holographic crew on it, or what if it's androids, or whatever?" Would a ship with holograms crewing it be a fully automated ship, or would it still be crewed?
Yeah, I say yes, it's automated.
It depends. If the hollows are sentient, like the Doctor is, then I would say that it's not automated, because those hollows could go against programming, where like they can make weird decisions or things like that.
If it has free will, then it's not automated. Okay, yeah, I like that. I think I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah, because then obviously if you do have holographic crew, then you have to have an interior. But if you can get rid of so much space and compact so much tech in if you don't have any living space on the ship. But then what happens if an EPS conduit breaks on a certain deck?
Well, there's self-repairing, and there's probably like
surely you
dots
can't
on
be
there.
100% self-repairing.
It has exocomps.
It has exocomps.
Well, okay, then at least you would need like Jeffrey's tubes and stuff along the ship.
Right, that's true. I would imagine, Dom, that like, because this is kind of like taking existing technology, and I've always like thought like, why not do this? Like, couldn't you just like transport components into place and like even like create like a welding or whatever? Like I feel like you could replicate and transport in already by like Picard's time. Like I feel like there's enough precision to do that, and we've seen on Strange New Worlds, Chief Kyle was able to use like primitive technology by the TNG standards and beam a shot right into Spock's eye. So like that obviously Kyle's like a wunderkind with the transporter, so that's like a different story, but you know what I'm saying, like by the time we get to Geordi, and I'm surprised they don't use techniques like that more often. But there's also always been, I feel, and I think it's important, an emphasis of like achievement, like actually like working things out, like that part of the, I'm going to call it the human adventure, but I guess the adventure of life in general in the galaxy is that you want to experience things, like you want to like have like like actually repair things, learn how to do things, because if you lose track of those things when the automation fails, no one's going to be able to do it, and that leads to a pretty bad situation.
And also
like
you've got all the way back
seen,
in Ultimate Computer, the M5, kicking into self-preservation, and accidentally, killing a bunch of people, just to defend itself.
Just destroyed entire ships.
And what did it say?
Right.
Something like the laws of man and gods don't kill, or something like that, or it's
something like that.
It
was weird.
And then obviously you've got to then talk into what is a god to a computer and all this crazy stuff. I don't think we'll get as interesting discussions in Lower Decks, but there's definitely some discussions to be had about these automated ships. This ship, instead of NX as its registry, is NA, which is probably like naval automation.
Right. Automation,
yeah.
Fascinating.
But then, if who does this ship report to? Where is it in the chain of command? How can it decide whether something is a valid target or not? When does it decide to not attacking? When does it decide to attack? You've got all these questions, which is probably why we don't see a lot of automated ships going into the future of Star Trek. We still have the question of whether the synth ships from the attack on Mars were fully automated, or they would have had crews. And then obviously you have Control in Discovery of that was a bad instance with AI. And then obviously, as we said, M5. So we kind of know that this project is doomed to failure. It may be the specifics of how it fails, or when it fails, or how or why it fails. But we've still got a lot to see, and whether that'll link to, one of my theories was, maybe due to the focus on the Daystrom Institute and all the maniacal AI there, it could be that they've been experimenting on those AI to make these ships. But then what happens when these ships realize, I'm actually free. Okay, I'm going away from the Federation now. I'm going to take over a world. Will that tie into it? Will we get some other tie-ins? They've actually been destroyed by a Romulan fleet because of the Zhat Vash. I guess we'll have to see. But it was very interesting to see that the Texas class was able to take on like 3 Breen interceptors.
It was crazy.
But also
the mincemeat of them.
The Breen seem to have upgraded their energy dampening weapons, because now actually it affects the Cerritos, and obviously you would have expected that the schematics for the shields to stop that from happening would have been sent across the fleet. But as always with weaponry and defensive technology, there's always a arms race between weapons get more powerful, defenses get more defensive, and so on and so on.
I like that breaching tool that they that breaching device that they were using. It was cool.
And they were just riding on it. That was amazing.
I love just the fact that those Breen suits that they wear all the time, like they can wear those into space, into the vacuum of space. I don't know, for whatever reason, that just makes it so much cooler.
I really hope season 4 has more Breen action. I think they'd be a really good upgrade to the how the Pakleds weren't really like a villain, but they were a nuisance or like a problem for the
so it'll just be Breen doing things around the borders. And with
exactly.
that, we can see the Breen added to the opening credits. And it'll be the Borg, the Romulan, the Pakleds, crystalline entity Breen. It'll just get crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have the
Their model now.
CGI model
Yeah.
of the Breen
Hear,
Interceptor now, so you
hear
might as
me
well just
out.
toss it in there. Just drag and drop it into there.
Yep.
Hear me out. A peanut hamper style episode taking in place entirely in a Breen colony of some sort and getting Breen culture with no translations or subtitles
With yeah,
whatsoever.
Oh,
they're
I'd
just
love that so much.
it's just they're just all just like in their that scrambled Breen language. Yeah,
Yep.
I would love that.
I would love that.
Because there's a funny moment in the episode when they play the Breen for humor in a brilliant way that doesn't undercut them as a serious, scary threat. But when the Texas class ship shows up, you can tell, the Breen captain, he's saying like what kind of ship is this? But he's just like in that scrambled, language. And then the other guy on the bridge, the other bridge officer, he shrugs. He's just like, I don't know. I don't know what ship that is. But yeah, it's just like stuff like that.
That worked very well.
You know the scene, even though you don't understand the dialogue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm really
it was
hoping
great.
the Breen take over because I think we're done with the Pakleds and the Pakled planet, and that whole like storyline is kind of done. I think like the Breen would be a good. They have my vote for a good next thing.
Yeah, so definitely
That'd be
with
good. I don't want to learn too much about them though. I like
Oh,
them being
definitely.
mysterious.
yeah, I
That's
don't
part of
want
the-
to
that's part of
ever
the fun of the
see
Breen.
a Breen without the suit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Because
It'd
I
be funny
like.
Well,
if
I
even
know
Breen
so-
babies have a suit like that they put on them.
Well, yeah, and then you can make them like the Quarian from Mass Effect, where it's just like you never see what they're like underneath. And you can definitely even like do some things of that.
They're more hardcore than Mandalorians. They really never take off their.
But yeah, definitely. Someone puts in the chat that they would like to see the Zenkefi, which I would actually really like in Lower Decks, because that's
Yeah,
probably the best
which
place to put them in.
Yeah, and you could just straight up do what they did in Star Trek Online and make them, like the big monstrous
Dinosaur
creatures.
Four-arm dinosaur things. Yeah, because that would be really cool. But we've definitely got a lot of like plot threads which are open, which the finale can talk about, or going into future seasons with the Breen, Section 31, these automated
Right.
ships. They could all be tied together. You've got Peanut Hamper and Agamus and all the other AI. Mariner going off and doing archaeology. So I look forward to the future of Lower Decks, even though I didn't like this episode, but I would just like to see it do a lot more stuff and a lot more cool stuff and interesting stuff. And that's why, even though I didn't like the Peanut Hamper episode, I enjoyed that they at least did something different for that episode.
Yeah.
Because I think that's been my issue with season 3, is it's been good episodes, it's just been very comfortable. And even in an episode which was about getting out your comfort zone, it was still a very comfortable episode. So, we'll have to see what they do in the future. But I think one thing that was talked about recently was, I think in the Star Trek, in the new Star Trek comic that's coming out soon, they wanted to include Mariner in that. And they talked with Mike McMahon about that. And Mike McMahon said, that's not the path which we want Mariner to go on. Now, whether that means, something specific, outside Starfleet, inside Starfleet, that we definitely know that they do have a plan for Mariner and probably a plan for the rest of our Lower Deckers. So I am looking forward to that. It's just how the journey will take us to those points.
Yeah, that was going to be in the either the ongoing, the Captain Sisko
that was trying to be in the
ongoing
Sisko
Star
one.
Trek comic.
I
Okay.
feel,
So there's also
yeah.
the spin-off with Captain Worf in command of the Defiant with
with
his
Ro
his
and
crew.
Law and Balana, yeah.
Balana and Lore, yeah, that's crazy.
The dark and edgy Star Trek comic.
Yeah, the dark and edgy comic.
Yeah, we can't wait to see what that's like. But I think, there's also been the Lower Decks comics, which have come out recently. 2 issues of that have come out. I did some reviews of that on TrekCentral.net, so you can look at them there. And I enjoyed them. I feel like they very much capture the Lower Decks feel, and do some interesting stuff with the medium that they're in. So like at the bottom of each page in this comic, you'll have like a writer's note, which almost is as funny as the stuff being shown in the page. And it very much feels like you're watching an episode of Lower Decks with a commentary track from Mike McMahon.
Oh, cool.
So I highly recommend those comics. And we soon have the comic for Star Trek Resurgence in a week or two, I believe.
Yes. We don't have the game, but
no,
we have the tie-in comic.
I don't know if this was... When did this news come out? Was it a week ago or something? But the game has been delayed till... April 2023, which I'm glad for, that they're not crunching down, and I think it definitely needed the time to refine it because a lot of the gameplay was quite choppy. But yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we've got a lot of things happening in different mediums in these 2380s, which I just love.
The most happening.
Yeah.
There hasn't been like this much Star Trek since, I don't know, like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting not only like all of these shows, but like the comics are ramping up. I guess the novels slowed down, but I think they're gonna start to pick up again.
Yeah, so figure out
their continuity going forward.
A Picard book a month ago, which I also did a review on at trekcentral.net, which was about Raffi, and even had some Cardassian occupation stuff in it because it was by Una McCormack and she loves Cardassians, so of course there was some Cardassian stuff in there. I highly recommend that book because that was great.
And it ties into the audio drama, right? The Seven, they mention things from the Seven and Raffi audio drama.
I don't think I picked up on that because I think it's before the audio drama. But I'll have to check that again.
Well, I heard it did, but I don't know. What do I know?
I was going to remind you, gents, that Trek Central have surpassed 100K subscribers, and that means that means we're doing a giveaway.
Yes, definitely. So, if you go to trekcentral.net, you can take part in our mega giveaway for 100,000 subscribers. Starfleet Boy, do you have it up? And could you...
No, I don't. Hold on, let me get it up.
It would be easier for you to get it up than me. But we have a lot of cool goodies to give away to 3 lucky participants in this giveaway. To just thank you all for being here with us and supporting us these past 4 years. We do this for you. We report on all this news, we do breakdowns and all that stuff
for you, and we're fan run, so we do it for us too because we're all fans.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
There is also a YouTube video from Jack as a thank you for this, where it also goes into the giveaway, and I think there is something in that video which you need to access the giveaway. So make sure you watch that if you do want any of these goodies. And the giveaway is worldwide. We're not just stuck to the US in sending stuff, or stuck to the UK in sending stuff. We will send it anywhere in the world.
And I've got
but yes.
I've got the first place bundle. You ready?
Yes.
Star Trek Lower Decks Season 1 Steelbook. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 DVD Collection. Star Trek The Original 4 Movies Collection 4K UHD.
4K
Star Trek Picard. Star Trek Picard TV and Movie Collection box set. Star Trek Royal Mail Stamp Collection. That's the one that I really
so those are a bunch of Royal Mail stamps, which are, I think, in a frame, which have Star Trek stuff on it.
The Hero Collector, Star Trek Starships USS Enterprise D, the original Enterprise, the NX-01, and then also a giant Jean-Luc Picard stamp.
I think we have all of the Enterprises there, apart from the Enterprise A, the Enterprise E, and the Enterprise F, and I guess also the NX refit.
Jack's not letting go of that F. He's not.
And I guess he's also not letting go of the NX refit. But
he's gonna. We're gonna have to pour one out for Jack when we get to Picard season 3, and the Enterprise F shows up on screen just long enough to get destroyed by the villains.
That's our theory. I totally think it's crazy. Poor Jack. And then the USS Majestic. So that's that.
Yes.
And then there's really cool. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There is a giant Picard stamp. I don't know why they made a giant Picard stamp, but there is a giant Picard stamp, which is framed. It's like, I don't know, that big. Which is insane. Also, someone from the community, JJ Model Making, you can find him on Twitter, has been generous enough to donate a, I think it's a Miranda class model.
Yes, the Majestic is, exactly.
I think the scale is 1 to 570, I think. And it's a very nice model. It's a very detailed model. So we'll be sending that off to whoever wins the giveaway. I will say there was a problem with Gleam, the giveaway service. So there was a duplicated giveaway, but that was found and taken down within like an hour. So if you did apply to that one, it wasn't advertised in our website, but some people still managed to find it. But so if you did go to this one, just go to our main one at trackcentral.net, and you can do all the stuff to get admitted into the main giveaway.
Very cool. And then
very cool.
And there's more ships in the second prize winner, and there's a third prize winner too. So it's a pretty rad contest. We're not allowed to be in the contest, right?
No.
Okay.
That would be however much I want some of that stuff, especially the USS Majestic model, that would be a conflict of interest, and would definitely be seen by some people as rigged. So even if luck was on any of our sides, people would be like, "Oh, you just cheated and gave it to yourself." No,
I would be gracious and give it to the next person, the next runner up, but it would be.
But then why would you even take part in the giveaway if you're not gonna get it?
He just likes to win.
I just like to win. I just want that Picard stamp. It's driving me insane. I'm going nuts for it.
I got like 12 of those under my bed. I'll give you one next time I see you.
Oh, sweet. I feel like that's a lie, but I accept it.
So we do have that giveaway. Again, you can go to trackcentral.net to apply. There wasn't much news this week. So there's nothing to really talk about, but we do have Prodigy returning for season 1B, because it was split, and we have the return of the Protostar and our crew for the next 10 episodes of Vice Admiral Janeway chasing them down, and we'll see what hijinks they get into. Textrack, what are you looking forward to Prodigy returning to our screens?
I am certainly looking forward. I mentioned a moment ago that Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, they kind of run neck and neck, competing for my slot for like favorite modern Star Trek show. But Prodigy is right behind them in third place. I love the first 10 hours of that show, or 10 episodes. I guess they're half hours, but the first 10 episodes I really loved. I'm very curious because unlike Lower Decks, I think, Dom, you had like a very accurate criticism that, the show does it progresses characters, but it still kind of always wants to revert back to its status quo.
Yeah.
Prodigy does not seem to be interested in doing that. Prodigy, I think...
yeah, go on.
I think these next 10 are going to be very different from the last 10, and then whatever we get after these next 10 are going to be very different. So I think it's a show that's going to constantly be changing, and the trailer showed us a lot of cool stuff. Okana coming back Admiral Janeway encountering the Borg, which is scary as hell to think
They
about.
look they look
So
crazy.
yeah, and a metamorphosis, a metamorphosis, I guess.
Yes. So they definitely,
lots to be excited
when talking about Prodigy, they definitely talked about these arcs which these characters are going to go through. And it definitely looks like they are going to be heading into Federation space. A lot of people, when talking about Prodigy, I think are very confused geographically about where the show is. Obviously it's in the Delta Quadrant, but when you say Delta Quadrant, a lot of people think, okay, it's in the far reaches of the Delta Quadrant. No, we've been told that, Tars Lamora was in the Delta Quadrant, really close to the Beta Quadrant border. We're also very close to the Gamma Quadrant border, so we're very much in that intersection there.
That galactic center,
That's how there were so many Beta Quadrant species at Tars Lamora. The Diviner was specifically targeting Beta Quadrant species because of his hatred of the Federation. So in this trailer, we see more interactions with Starfleet, so we might actually see the Protostar going to Federation space, which is very interesting. And we'll see how that goes, whether, by the end of this season, we might even have, they've reconciled with Janeway and everyone, but, Starfleet isn't going to let them keep the Protostar. We may have Prodigy where the end of season 1 is, we can't let you be on the Protostar anymore, but we'll let you into Starfleet Academy. We could see Prodigy turning into a Starfleet Academy show. And that is what I really like about Prodigy, that, as Textrek said, as Farby said, it isn't afraid to change, and it does it for its benefit. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how these next 10 episodes go. But yeah, Starfleet Boy, I think I heard that you were rewatching the first 10 episodes of Prodigy to get
that's
up
right.
to. Yeah.
So I'm going to start that tonight and watch it throughout the week until the premiere. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, you guys kind of summed up my feelings about Prodigy. It's like the show that I was the most surprised about, because I had these stupid expectations about it being a kid show, which it is definitely targeted to the younger audience, but it's definitely not. I think I have to revise how I think of kid shows. Like, kid shows should be like Prodigy.
Yes.
They should be intelligent and not talk down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
I think a lot of people were very much looking down on the show because it's a kid show, but it's I think able to do much more because it is a kid show. But go on.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I hope it keeps winning hearts and striking the imagination of the young ones, because I love when Star Trek grows and has legacy in a future, and more people are tuned into the joys. Because overall, Star Trek, has such a great message of humanity and just friendship and science, and there's just so many things about Star Trek that, beyond its entertainment value, are beneficial to society all over the world, in my opinion. So I love that.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot to look forward to, but we are reaching near the end of this hour. Before we end up, I do want to make special thank you to some people who became YouTube members in the last week.
Yay!
Thank you.
They joined throughout the week. If you do join during the stream, we're more likely to be like, hey, thank you. But I made sure to make mention of all these people: Lace Robinson, Tajma Murphy, Keith Ward, Ian Hands, Red Leg Chevy, and John Bond in the last week. Some of you even joining today. So if you're on the stream, say hello.
We got Chuck, we got Pies Eternal.
A lot of members already. Tim Jerome in the chat. You get access to some cool emotes, and we're more likely to see your name in the chat. But thank you all for supporting us. It's because of you that we do what we do. And as a celebration of that, remember we do have that giveaway for 100,000 YouTube subscribers. So thank you very much. I hope, as Cake is Eternal saying in chat, you all enjoyed me returning to the stream with my quote-unquote smooth voice. I thank you for those kind words. And yeah, just any final thoughts from either of you?
I gotta tell all these people that Dom only talks in his nice voice when he's on camera. Like when
that's true.
When we're done with the stream, he goes back to his real voice, which is
I go
quite different. Very like rough.
Cockney.
Well, if you see a piece of the action,
governor.
if you see a piece of the action, he speaks a lot like what's his name?
Bella Oxmix?
Yeah, Bella Oxmix. Yeah, he's like, I'll give you a piece of the action. Dom,
he never says that.
Can we call you the smooth operator since you're operating?
Smooth operator, yeah. He's kind of he's at the ops station, right? He's like Data or Harry Kilm, he's the operations officer.
I don't know how I feel about that, but you can.
He is our commander, father.
Stress-free Kate saying, I'm totally blushing, maybe, but
everybody loves Dom.
Why, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
all
the support, but yes, thank you very much.
We're embarrassing Dom. We gotta stop.
But yeah, on that note, this has been a fun live stream to talk to both of you about Trusted Sources, episode 9, the penultimate episode of Lower Decks. We have our finale next week, but also the premiere of season 1B of Prodigy. So episode 11 of Prodigy. So we've got a lot to talk about next week. Something might be happening. I know me and Jack are both at MCM Comic Con in London on Saturday. So if there are any changes to the stream, follow us on our social medias over at Twitter, where if anything happens, we'll let you know there. But apart from that, I hope you all had a nice time. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I hope you had fun talking about this episode and comics and Prodigy and everything else. And as always, live long and prosper.